Okay, going to attempt to video me setting up, and apologies for the wind noise. And in fact there is quite a steady wind blowing off the harbour, coming from the west, so coming from the right of shot. We have a westerly wind here on the south coast of England most of the days of the year, so this spot can feel a little bit exposed sometimes, but you get used to it, you prepare for it and you're ready. So I'm going to fix my 12 metre Spirit of Air fiberglass pole onto this gatepost here using a couple of webbing straps that have got spring-loaded teeth on them. They're not full ratchet straps, but they do a very good job of holding the pole on. And I'm actually setting up here at a bird watching table at Farlington Marshes, which is a V-shaped wedge of marsh that sticks out into Langstone Harbour. In Portsmouth, the harbour's about 3 miles long and about 2 miles wide in a kind of rectangular shape. And I only tend to use this location late in the evening or overnight when there aren't going to be too many people around. If there's a lot of people around, there's another spot down at the end of that path that I can set up on and just sit on the ground, but it's much more comfortable here. Very nice facility to have. And I'm now going to fix my linked end-fed half-wave vertical on here. It goes on at the top. It's held in place by the body of an old barrel of an old banana plug. Tightening the pole up as we go, and you'll see in a moment I'm going to fix it onto the pole at intervals using reusable cable ties, which are a godsend for the portable operator for all sorts of jobs. But it is important to secure your wire to the pole, because if you just have it billowing, you're taking all the weight at the top and it's going to shake around and what have you, and it will promote the collapse of the pole. Whereas if you fix it onto the pole, you're taking some of the weight lower down on the thicker sections as well, and it just helps everything stay in place and look much more neat and tidy. 16 gauge speaker wire for the antenna, 1/4 inch blade connectors for the links. Works very well. If I want to work on the lower bands, I put an extension on the top of the antenna and run that off as a kind of squinted inverted L off to a ground stake away in the distance using some lightweight cord as a leader line. I'm just setting up for 15 metres, so I'm just leaving the 17 and 20 metre extensions over that gate there. And we're getting out here the bag that has the microphone, extension speaker and the power leads. Going back over here now with my 56.25:1 matching transformer. So it's a 15:2 turns ratio on an FT240 52 mix toroid. That works very well. And you see in a moment I'm going to plug the coax in. That's RG8X using PL259s. It's worth spending money on proper PL259s and Amphenol brand or something like that, because the cheapy ones off Amazon for portable use, if you're just screwing and unscrewing them a lot, you'll find the teeth that are the mates with the locking notches on the SO239 get worn down very quickly, and you get quite a unstable connection. Much better to use high quality components. Buy once, cry once is very much good advice. I'm just going to fix the coax onto the pole as well, so that the weight of that is not being taken on the connector. And you'll see when I walk the coax back over, I've actually got it knotted, which is slightly annoying. But it just goes to emphasise the importance of being neat and tidy in how you set up and pack away, because this coax hasn't been out the bag since I packed it away the previous time I was out, so I probably did it in haste. And I don't generally tend to check everything when I get it back home after I've been out. If I'm just going over to Langstone Harbour, I'm there a couple of times a week. Quite a lot of the gear never leaves the backpack, except very occasionally to check it. Obviously I change over the battery when I get home. And you'll see in a minute I'm going to get out my radio, but with that is the 22 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery that is good for several hours at 100 watts. There's the old Chinese food container, recycled and cleaned I should add, that holds my CW kit. And you'll see me getting out here the body and head of the Yaesu 891 from an old Amazon padded plastic bag, which they don't use anymore, which is rather annoying because they make excellent safe ways of carrying gear around in a backpack. The rig and the head are just wrapped up in a bit of felt and put back in there. And then we try and be tidy as we go. You don't want your stuff blowing around in the wind, because here it would end up in the sea and you wouldn't get it back. There's the battery. Now out the bag are going to come my extension speaker, which is an old relic from my dad's car when he had a CB in it about 40 years ago. Amstrad 901, K40 antenna, and that extension speaker was held in place on the dashboard with blue tack. Got the power pole mod done on the 891, courtesy of Stu M0OVG, who very kindly got me the printed, 3D printed socket that goes on the back. There's a T-bar connector that connects on to the power poles and everything, of course. Probably don't need to lecture you too much about that. Power poles are the way forward. And now we're just going to plug everything else in here. Always working the same way. Power connector, extension speaker, microphone, Morse key. It helps to get into a habit of doing things as you set up and unpack, and then in reverse when you pack your gear away and you go home. It just means you're much less likely to forget something or get something wrong. And I'm a big fan of using bags within bags. It's much easier to pack away 5 bags, each containing 5 items, than it is one bag containing 25 items. You're much less likely to lose something. The Morse key is the N0SA paddle by CW Morse. Had that a couple of weeks, like it a lot. Very precise feel, very small in the hand. I think for winter when I'm wearing gloves, I'm probably going to go back to using my basic CW Morse twin paddle, because it's got bigger paddles, and although it feels quite spongy by comparison with the N0SA, I think it might just be easier to work with. So we're just going to plug the coax in here. I think we're ready to go. Okay, we're set up. I don't know how long that took, but we'll see. Now it's time to see what's on the radio.